Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're doing something, well, a little different. Usually we're digging into these dense reports or, conflicting articles. But today, our source material is the complete script for a beginner-level English vocabulary session.
That's right. Specifically for that A1 to A2 level.
Exactly. And our goal here isn't to, learn the vocabulary ourselves.
No. The mission today is to treat this script like an architectural blueprint. We're doing a deep dive into the pedagogy, the actual structure of how it teaches.
We want to figure out what makes this approach work. Why this sequence? What's the psychology behind the tone, the repetition, all of it?
It's a really fascinating way to look at it. We're analyzing the tool itself, not what the tool is building.
And the material is very upfront about what it is. It says A1, A2, which, that's the most vulnerable stage for a learner, right?
Absolutely. Minimal foundation, maximum anxiety.
And it also declares this really specific tone: calm, relaxing, natural, clear. That in itself, that instruction feels like our first clue.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Understanding why that tone is so critical is the key to the whole thing. The foundational premise of the entire script is right there.
And when you look at the structure, it's so segmented.
It is. It moves from vocabulary to actions to feelings, then phrases, a story, practice.
Right. A review and a closing. It's like a machine.
It is a machine. And it's a machine built specifically to deal with the psychological roadblocks a beginner faces. It's not random at all.
So before we even get to the first English word, the very first instruction is what really sets the stage.
Let me guess.
It says, take a deep breath and relax your shoulders.
There it is.
And it frames the whole thing as your quiet time, your English time. That's not just an instruction. That's a cognitive intervention.
It's precisely that. And we have to look this through the lens of language acquisition theory. Specifically this idea of the affective filter.
Okay, break that down.
So Dr. Stephen Creation came up with this idea. The affective filter is like this invisible mental wall. And when a learner feels stressed or anxious or under pressure, which is, the default state for a beginner, that wall goes up.
And when the wall is up, nothing gets in.
Exactly. The input, even if it's simple, it just bounces right off that wall of stress. It can't get to the part of the brain that actually acquires language.
So the script's first move is to just lower the wall.
To proactively dismantle it before a single English word is even introduced. By telling you to breathe, to relax your shoulders, it's trying to shift you out of that fight or flight mode and into a receptive, calm state.
So it's prioritizing peace over performance.
That's the perfect way to put it. It's establishing an emotional contract. It's saying, you are safe here. This is not a test. We will not cause you stress.
And that contract is probably what makes someone come back the next day.
It's everything. It turns language learning from a chore or a challenge into a positive ritual, a restorative moment in your day. And that intentional, gentle biofeedback, that is the absolute first step.
Okay, so that establishes the mindset. And then we move into the first real section, wake up and sensory vocabulary.
Right.
And the instructions follow through on that promise. It says, let's begin slowly. And only then do you get the first words.
And the words themselves. This initial selection is just a masterclass in efficiency.
How so?
Well, think about an A1 learner. They have zero extra brain space.
Right.
So every word has to count. It has to be directly tied to their immediate physical reality.
Right. So you don't need to imagine anything abstract.
Exactly. They aren't starting with, colors or animals or jobs.
No, the words are morning, sunlight, alarm, wake up, stretch, fresh air, and open your eyes.
Every single one of those is physically verifiable. It's happening to you or around you at that exact moment. Doesn't matter what country you're in. That grounds the learning in sensory reality and just massively reduces the cognitive load.
But here's the part that I found kind of surprising. They don't just have you repeat those single words over and over.
No, they move fast.
Yeah, they jump immediately from the word to a simple sentence. We go right from morning to it is morning, from alarm to I hear my alarm, and then I wake up slowly, I open my eyes, I stretch my body, and then these two, the sunlight is soft, and I breathe fresh air.
That rapid jump is a really strategic choice. It's called syntax modeling.
Syntax modeling.
Yeah. They're moving you from the building block, the word, to the smallest functional thing you can make with it, the sentence, in one move. If they just gave you the word, you might panic about how to use it.
So they remove that anxiety immediately by just showing you.
They demonstrate its function. instantly.
I want to key in on those last two sentences. The sunlight is soft and I breathe fresh air. Why not just, I see the sun?
That's a great question because for a beginner, a word like soft can be very abstract.
Right, it's feeling.
But when you tie it directly to something you can see, the morning sunlight, it becomes concrete. You're learning the word in situ. You're learning it in the exact context where it's most relevant.
So you're creating a stronger memory path in the brain.
You're creating an anchor. The next time that learner is outside and feels a breeze, the phrase fresh air has a better chance of just popping up because the context and the feeling were paired right from the start.
So they're teaching vocabulary and grammar at the same time, but without ever saying the word grammar.
Exactly. They keep the sentence structure incredibly simple. Subject, verb, object. That minimizes the difficulty so you can focus all your energy on just absorbing the new words.
So 7 words, 7 simple high-use sentences. That's a really efficient design.
It's incredibly efficient. Maximum impact, minimum stress.
Okay, so from there we move into section 2, and there's a clear shift here. We go from that passive observation
Like the sun is soft.
to active engagement. This section is called daily morning actions. This is where they really ground it in routine.
It's the natural next step in a morning, right?
Yeah.
You go from what's happening to me to what I am doing. This is where the language becomes properly functional. It moves from your mind to your body.
And the vocabulary reflects that. It's sit up, stand up, wash my face, brush my teeth.
Comb my hair, drink water, make breakfast, get ready. The core sequence.
And the sentences all use that first-person perspective. I sit up on my bed. I stand up slowly. I wash my face with cool water.
Always, I do this, I do that.
Okay, but let me challenge that for a second. Is that limiting? By focusing so heavily on I, aren't you delaying the learner's ability to actually interact with other people, to ask a question?
That's an excellent challenge. And it is a trade-off. Pedagogy is all trade-offs.
Okay.
Focusing only on I does temporarily delay learning you or he or she. But for these very first sessions, the goal isn't conversation. The goal is retention and confidence.
I see.
The first person, present simple tense, is the only form where the learner can physically do the action, as they say the phrase. You could literally sit up while saying, I sit up.
So you're using your body to reinforce the memory?
You are. And that provides an immediate feeling of success. You did it. The phrase matches reality. If they suddenly introduced, do you brush your teeth? Yeah, no, you have to deal with question syntax, different pronouns. The cognitive load would just spike.
And the affective filter goes right back
up.
Yeah.
So they're building the foundation first. The I perspective is the bedrock of that foundation.
And I noticed they're adding these little details, not just I wash my face, but I wash my face with cool water. Not just I brush my teeth, but I brush my teeth every morning.
Those are so important. They're crucial context builders.
Why?
Because they're sneaking in modifiers, adjectives, adverbs, without ever teaching them as grammar points. You just absorb that cool naturally goes with water in this context. It makes the sentences feel more real, less robotic.
So you're learning the experience of it, not just memorizing a phrase.
Exactly. They are teaching you how the language works organically. So you get 2 things here. Functional language for your day, and this subtle implicit introduction to slightly more complex sentences, all within the safety of that I do this structure.
All right, the next phase, section 3, it shifts again. We go from the external actions to the internal state. It's called morning feelings vocabulary.
This is where it all connects. It closes the loop.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the script started by establishing a feeling of calmness. And it recognizes that language is a tool for describing reality. And a huge part of reality is our internal world, our emotions.
So they give you the words for it.
They give you the tools. Calm, sleepy, happy, energetic, relaxed, peaceful. It lets the learner verbalize their own state in English, which reinforces that positive emotional environment they set up at the start.
That makes so much sense. If the goal is to build confidence, you have to make the language relevant to the learner's own experience right away.
It's emotional scaffolding. You're giving them the words to say, I feel calm this morning, or my body feels relaxed. And notice those are overwhelmingly positive phrases.
Right. You're creating a positive association. English equals feeling calm.
Yes. You're literally building a neural pathway that connects the language with a good feeling.
But there's one phrase in here that isn't purely positive, and I think it's maybe the most brilliant one in the whole section.
I know which one you're going to say.
I am a little sleepy, but it's okay.
Yes. That sentence is a psychological masterstroke. It builds so much trust.
Why? Because it's honest.
Because it's honest.
Yeah.
The person listening to a morning podcast probably is a little sleepy. By just acknowledging that and then immediately validating it, but it's okay. The script maintained that gentle, non-judgmental tone. It says, you don't have to be perfect to be here.
It removes the pressure. It keeps that filter low.
Completely. Think about what makes people quit learning a language. It's frustration. It's self-criticism. This one little phrase inoculates you against that. It says, I see your reality, and your reality is a perfectly fine place to learn from.
Wow. That's a really high level of emotional intelligence for an instructional script.
It is. So at this point, in just 3 sections, we've covered time, physical actions, and internal feelings. We built a whole simple framework for the self.
And with maybe, what, 25 or 30 words?
That's it. Low density, but incredibly high utility. They're making sure you feel successful at every single step.
Okay, which brings us to section 4, functional communication. This is where we move from just describing things to, well, to more actionable phrases.
That's right. This is the shift from that internal description to outward engagement, or at least to setting an outward-facing mindset. The section is called Morning Phrases for Daily Use.
And the phrases themselves are, they're almost pure affirmation.
They are.
You've got, good morning, it's a new day. I am ready. I want to learn. I feel positive. And the last one, today will be a good day.
The pedagogical choice here is crystal clear. They are linking the act of practicing English directly to mental well-being.
To positive habit formation.
Exactly. These aren't neutral statements, they're behavioral anchors.
Mm.
You are literally practicing English words that also happen to structure a positive start to your day. You're using language to shape your own thoughts.
And the script really wants you to learn these. It specifically tells the listener to repeat them out loud, and then the entire list is repeated a second time, again, slowly.
Why that double repetition just for this section?
Repetition is always key for memory, obviously, but repeating out loud is what really cements it. That's productive practice.
It engages muscle memory.
The muscle memory for pronunciation, yes. By doing it twice, slowly, they're helping you overcome that beginner's hesitation to actually speak. And because the phrases are aspirational, you want to feel ready, you want to feel positive, you're more motivated to say them. So it's a positive feedback loop. Speaking English makes you feel good, which makes you want to speak more English.
That's the loop. It drives intrinsic motivation.
Is there a risk, though, that it becomes monotonous? Repeating the same short list twice? Especially for someone who's maybe a bit more advanced, like an A2 learner?
That's a fair point, but I think at this specific stage, the benefit of that repetition is just, it's so much greater than the risk of monotony.
Okay.
Monotony happens when you feel like what you're doing is low value. But because these phrases are tied to feeling prepared for your entire day, their value stays high. Plus, they don't just leave you there. They immediately use these phrases in the very next section.
The narrative case study.
Right. So the repetition isn't isolated, it's integrated.
And that is a perfect transition to section 5, the narrative, Sarah's slow morning. This feels like the climax of the whole lesson.
It's the integration phase, for sure. This is where all those separate pieces, the words, the feelings, the actions, are woven together into a story you can actually understand.
This is the proof that it worked.
It is. It serves 2 purposes. First, it validates you. It proves you can now understand a whole paragraph of English. And second, it shifts you from that fragmented practice of repeating words to the much smoother process of just listening, comprehending.
Let's break down how they do it. It starts with time and action. Sarah wakes up at 6:30 in the morning. And then she turns the alarm off gently.
Gently. That's such a good word choice. We saw slowly earlier, but gently just reinforces that whole calm, low anxiety tone we talked about at the very beginning.
The character in the story is modeling the desired state of mind.
She is. Sarah is not stressed or rushing. She's deliberate. The story itself mirrors how the learner is supposed to feel. That English is a slow, gentle part of your life, not a struggle.
And then it immediately uses the sensory details from section 1. The sky is light blue, the sun is soft and warm.
And for the learner, that's immediate recognition. It's a little dopamine hit. Hey, I know that phrase.
It's a review, but it's disguised as a story.
A masterful review. Then you get the body movements and the feelings all mixed in. She sits up slowly, she stretches, and she takes a deep breath.
Which is a direct callback to the very first instruction of the whole session.
Exactly. And she feels calm. In just a couple of paragraphs, the learner has successfully recognized vocabulary from 3 different sections. Then the routine continues. Washing her face with cool water, that specific detail again.
Right. Brushing her teeth, combing her hair. Nothing is wasted.
Nothing is wasted.
But then we get to breakfast, and there's this meta moment in the story that I thought was just brilliant.
Oh yeah, this is my favorite part.
While she's eating, Sarah listens to a short English podcast.
It's so clever. It's a self-referential loop.
It completely reframes the listener's experience.
It does. It shows the character, Sarah, doing the exact same thing the listener's doing at that moment. It validates their choice, their routine. It basically says, you're not alone in this. This is what learners do. It creates a sense of community.
And inside that story, they sneak in 3 new words.
Right. Routine, fresh, and ready.
And introducing them here inside the story feels really strategic.
Oh, it's very strategic.
Yeah.
Because they're high-level concepts. Routine literally summarizes the whole lesson. Fresh is a logical step up from fresh air. And ready is that final affirmative state we've been building towards.
So they're easy to guess from the context.
They're easy to infer, exactly, because they're presented in a situation that is now completely familiar to the learner.
And the story ends by tying everything together. Sarah feels relaxed, positive, and ready for the day. And she says the affirmation out loud, "Today will be a good day."
And that's the payoff. The learner has just successfully understood their first real English narrative. They've gone from single words to a full story. That feeling of success is what builds the habit.
Okay, so once the story is proved that you can understand, we hit the final reinforcement stage, section 6, speaking practice.
Yeah, this is where they drill down and make sure the most important stuff really sticks.
This is spaced repetition in action.
It is. They're cementing the highest utility phrases into your long-term memory. And notice what they focus on. Action and internal state, the most critical things for describing your own reality.
Let's list the sentences they chose for this final practice. I wake up slowly. I stretch my body. I wash my face. I eat breakfast.
So the core physical routine.
And then, I feel calm today, and I'm ready for my day.
Look at what they left out. They dropped, the sunlight is soft. They dropped, I hear my alarm.
Why?
Because sensory observation is secondary. It's less important than productive action and your emotional state. These 6 sentences are the absolute essence of the lesson. What you do and how you feel.
It's the highest possible return on investment for your memory.
Exactly.
And look where the emphasis is at the very end. The last 2 phrases, I feel calm today and I'm ready for my day, are repeated. Again.
That's not an accident. That tells you everything about the true priority of this script. The ultimate goal isn't just to teach you English words.
It's emotional and habitual organization.
Yes. By ending the practice with calmness and readiness, they ensure your final auditory memory, your last muscle movement of speaking, is linked to a positive psychological state. You're using the language to build a positive foundation for your day.
So after that practice, there's one last filter. Section 7, the consolidated vocabulary review. And again, they don't review all 30 words.
No, that would be cognitive overload. This is the final, ultimate prioritization. If you can only remember 9 words from this whole thing, what should they be?
And the final 9 are morning, stretch, fresh air, brush, breakfast.
The concrete nouns and actions.
And then calm, relaxed, routine, and ready.
The conceptual and emotional takeaways, including the new words from the story.
It's a perfect balance.
It is. It's a balance of the tangible and the intangible. If you remember brush and breakfast, you have the routine. If you remember calm and ready, you have the mindset. Even if you forget some other words, the core lesson is still embedded. It's a success.
And that brings us to the final part. Section 8, the closing mandate.
The call to action. It closes the whole loop.
It recaps what you did. Learned words, sentences, a story. But then it tells you why you did it.
Right. It explains the benefit, which is so important for motivation.
And it states it very clearly. Learning in the morning helps your mind stay active and strong. And then this promise, which feels key, just a few minutes every day makes a big difference.
That promise is absolutely critical because the biggest hurdle for any beginner is consistency. By saying it's just a few minutes, they lower the barrier to entry for tomorrow. They manage your expectations. It reinforces that slow and gentle idea for your whole schedule.
Low friction, high consistency.
That's the formula.
And the session ends exactly how it began. The final words are, take a deep breath, smile gently, and move into your day with confidence.
It comes full circle. The language was the vehicle to get you to this feeling of confidence and peace. The A1 learner has just had a small, verifiable success, and that success is directly tied to a positive feeling. That makes the habit of learning powerfully self-reinforcing.
So when you pull all the way back and look at this entire structure, It's so much more than a vocabulary list.
Oh, it's a deeply complex piece of instructional design.
We've really seen that the genius of it is in that meticulous simplicity, the relentless repetition, and that constant focus on lowering the learner's anxiety.
That effective filter.
Mhm.
It uses the daily routine, which is so highly relevant, to just dissolve that fear. Every section builds on the last one, moving the learner so smoothly from just sensing to doing to feeling and finally to understanding a whole story.
And this deep dive really shows that for true learning to happen, especially at these early stages, you have to manage the emotional environment first.
You have to. That calmness and that immediate useful application like we saw in the Sarah story, that's everything.
It's pedagogy that's driven by a really profound psychological insight into how a beginner's mind works.
It is. By focusing on those simple first-person actions and all those positive emotional states, the script just guarantees that the learner gets these frequent, small, verifiable wins.
And those little wins, that's the fuel you need to keep going.
It's the only fuel that works long-term.
Which leaves us with a final provocative thought, and it's one that really goes beyond just learning a language. This script worked because it created a small, incredibly structured, positive routine, and it linked that routine to a high-value emotional outcome, feeling confident and ready.
So the question you should ask yourself is this. If that kind of structure and positive reinforcement is so effective for learning something as hard as a new language, what small, structured, positive routine could you build into your day?
For a complex problem at work, maybe. Or a difficult skill you want to learn.
Right. What could you master by dedicating just a few minutes every day to that kind of focused, low-anxiety practice?
Something to think about as you move into your day. We'll see you next time for the Deep Dive.